If you are over 60 and dealing with burning feet, numb toes, electric tingling sensations, or an unsteady sense of balance, what you are experiencing is not some mysterious part of aging. It is the predictable result of a biological environment that has quietly changed over many years. Most people are told peripheral neuropathy is just nerves wearing out, as if the nervous system were a mechanical device programmed to fail at a certain point. Others hear it is purely genetic, meaning nothing can be done, and many are told, either directly or indirectly, that the only options are pain management and learning to accept gradual decline. What almost no one explains is that nerves do not deteriorate randomly. They respond to chemistry, they respond to blood flow, they respond to the metabolic signals they receive every single day. When those signals turn hostile, nerves suffer. When the environment stabilizes, nerves can often retain far more function than expected. Peripheral neuropathy is not a single disease. It is a pattern of nerve injury. It describes what happens when peripheral nerves, the long communication cables connecting the brain and spinal cord to the rest of the body, begin to malfunction. These nerves control sensation, movement, balance, temperature perception, and pain signaling. Because they are long and have high metabolic demands, they are especially vulnerable to disruptions in blood sugar regulation, circulation, inflammation, and nutrient supply. This vulnerability explains why symptoms typically appear first in the feet and hands, the areas farthest from the heart and most reliant on tiny blood vessels for nourishment. One of the most important concepts to grasp is that nerve damage develops long before noticeable pain or other symptoms emerge. For years, sometimes decades, nerves can face subtle but persistent metabolic stress without obvious warning signs. During this silent period, damage builds quietly. Proteins within nerve fibers change shape. Blood vessels stiffen. The protective insulation, myelin, thins. Electrical signals slow and lose precision. The nervous system compensates remarkably well, masking early problems. By the time burning sensations, numbness, or instability become clear, the underlying process is already well advanced. This delay is why neuropathy often feels sudden and unfair, even though it has been developing gradually beneath the surface for a long time. For a large percentage of people, the central mechanism in this process is a group of compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These form when glucose molecules bind irreversibly to proteins and fats in the body. The attachment is not harmless. It alters the structure and function of the tissues involved. Once formed, AGEs are very difficult to remove and accumulate steadily over time. They are especially damaging to tissues that depend on flexibility, precise signaling, and delicate blood flow, making peripheral nerves a primary target. To understand why AGEs are so significant, it helps to picture the process at the molecular level. Glucose is essential fuel, but it is also chemically reactive. When blood sugar stays elevated for extended periods, glucose molecules collide more frequently with proteins. Under the right conditions, they bind permanently, forming stiff, sticky complexes. This is similar to caramelization in cooking, where sugar hardens under heat. In the body, it occurs slowly but relentlessly when glucose control is poor. The result is tissue that becomes less flexible, less functional, and more prone to inflammation. Inside peripheral nerves, AGEs damage three critical components at the same time. First, they alter the nerve fibers directly, interfering with proteins responsible for transmitting electrical signals. Second, they harm the myelin sheath, the fatty insulation that allows rapid, efficient nerve impulses. Without healthy myelin, signals weaken, delay, or distort. Third, AGEs injure the tiny capillaries that supply nerves with oxygen and nutrients. These microvessels are vital for nerve survival. When they stiffen or narrow, nerves become starved and vulnerable. This triple attack explains the wide variety of neuropathy symptoms. Burning pain comes from irritated, overactive nerve fibers. Numbness reflects signal loss. Tingling arises from erratic misfiring. Weakness stems from impaired muscle communication. Balance problems result from disrupted sensory feedback to the brain. Symptoms vary in combination, but the underlying damage follows a consistent pattern. A crucial and frequently misunderstood point is that fasting blood sugar is a poor measure of this process. Many people with neuropathy are told their glucose is normal because fasting levels fall within standard ranges. But fasting glucose only shows the daily low point, not the most damaging phase. The greatest opportunity for age formation occurs after meals, when blood sugar rises and remains elevated for hours. These repeated post-meal spikes accelerate nerve injury, especially day after day and year after year. As we age, the body becomes less efficient at clearing glucose from the bloodstream. Muscle mass declines, insulin sensitivity decreases, and glucose lingers longer after eating. This does not mean aging directly causes neuropathy. It means aging reduces metabolic resilience. When combined with common modern habits, frequent snacking, late-night eating, and processed foods, this reduced resilience creates ideal conditions for age accumulation. Vitamin B12 plays a critical role because it is essential for nerve maintenance and repair. B12 supports myelin integrity, DNA synthesis in nerve cells, and detoxification pathways that neutralize metabolic byproducts. Unfortunately, B12 absorption declines with age and is further impaired by common medications such as acid suppressants and metformin. When B12 levels drop, nerves lose a key protective mechanism. Damage that might have been repaired instead continues to build. This is particularly problematic because standard blood tests often miss functional B12 deficiency. Levels may appear normal, while still inadequate for neurological health. This gap leaves many vulnerable without awareness. By the time symptoms appear, the deficiency may have been present for years. Another underappreciated factor is dietary age intake. Ages form not only inside the body but are also consumed in food. Foods cooked at high temperatures, grilled, fried, roasted, or browned, contain large amounts of preformed ages. These are absorbed into circulation and add to the body's total burden. This means even people with relatively stable blood sugar can accelerate tissue damage through cooking methods alone. Switching to lower temperature cooking techniques significantly reduces this exposure. Inflammation acts as an amplifier once nerve damage begins. Ages activate inflammatory pathways that keep nerves in a state of chronic irritation. This is why symptoms often worsen at night, when circulation slows and inflammatory mediators linger. It is also why neuropathy frequently disrupts sleep, creating a vicious cycle. Poor sleep worsens insulin resistance, raises stress hormones, and increases post-meal glucose spikes the next day. This fuels more age formation and inflammation, which then further disturbs sleep. Movement is one of the most powerful tools for breaking this cycle. Muscles act as glucose sinks, absorbing sugar from the blood after meals. Even brief walking can substantially lower post-meal glucose levels. This is not about weight loss or cardiovascular fitness, it is metabolic regulation. Regular movement reduces the raw material for age formation and improves circulation to nerves. Strength also matters. As muscle mass declines, glucose clearance worsens. Gentle resistance training helps preserve muscle tissue, improving metabolic control and indirectly protecting nerves. This benefit is often underestimated because it works quietly in the background rather than providing immediate symptom relief. Hydration supports circulation and metabolic clearance. Dehydration thickens blood, reduces capillary flow, and concentrates glucose. Many older adults unintentionally limit fluids, which subtly increases nerve vulnerability. Consistent hydration supports vascular health without requiring major changes. Stress influences neuropathy through hormonal pathways. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which raises blood sugar and promotes insulin resistance. Emotional stress does not cause neuropathy on its own, but it magnifies the metabolic conditions that damage nerves. Simple stress management practices reduce this hormonal pressure and support metabolic stability. One of the most damaging beliefs about neuropathy is that decline is inevitable. This belief discourages action and promotes resignation. While severely damaged nerves may not fully regenerate, many partially damaged nerves can stabilize and function more efficiently when the environment improves. People often experience reduced pain, better balance, improved sleep, and enhanced quality of life when further damage is slowed or stopped. The goal is not perfection, it is preservation. Every hour of stable blood sugar is an hour without chemical assault on nerves. Every better night of sleep supports repair. Every small reduction in inflammation improves signaling. Over time, these positive changes compound, just as negative ones did before. Peripheral neuropathy is not simply a nerve disorder. It is a metabolic condition that manifests in the nerves first. Understanding this reframes it from an unavoidable fate to a manageable process. The focus shifts from chasing symptoms to stabilizing the underlying environment. This does not promise miracles, but it offers something more reliable: control. And control changes everything. As people come to understand that peripheral neuropathy stems from long-term metabolic strain rather than sudden nerve failure, another realization often follows. The nervous system is not isolated. It is in constant conversation with every other system in the body. Blood vessels, muscles, hormones, the immune system, and the digestive tract all influence whether nerves stay resilient or become fragile. This interconnectedness explains why neuropathy rarely occurs alone. It often appears alongside fatigue, poor sleep, digestive changes, balance issues, or subtle cognitive fog. These are not separate problems. They are different expressions of the same underlying instability. One of the most overlooked contributors to nerve damage is chronic post-meal hyperglycemia that never reaches the diabetes threshold. Many people live for years in a metabolic gray zone where blood sugar spikes higher and stays elevated longer than ideal, yet remains within acceptable lab ranges. During this period, AGs accumulate silently. The lack of a diagnosis creates false reassurance. People assume that if something were seriously wrong, it would have been detected. But neuropathy does not wait for a label. It responds to exposure. Nerves do not care about official thresholds. They respond to how often they are exposed to damaging chemistry. The body's ability to clear glucose relies heavily on muscle tissue. After eating, insulin directs muscles to absorb glucose and store it as glycogen. When muscle mass decreases, this system becomes less effective. Glucose lingers longer in the bloodstream, increasing glycation opportunities. This is one reason neuropathy risk rises with age, independent of body weight. Even lean, outwardly healthy individuals may have lost significant muscle over time, especially without resistance activity. This muscle-glucose relationship also explains why physical activity has such a strong effect on nerve health, even without diet changes. Consistent short walks after meals can reduce the height and duration of glucose spikes. Over months and years, this leads to fewer AGs, less inflammation, and better circulation. The short-term effect is subtle, but the long-term impact is profound. It is one of the few interventions that addresses cause rather than consequence. The vascular system is deeply involved in neuropathy progression. Nerves depend on a network of microscopic blood vessels. These vessels are highly sensitive to glycation and oxidative stress. AGs stiffen vessel walls, reduce nitric oxide availability, and impair dilation in response to demand. This causes chronic low-grade ischemia, especially in distal nerves. The feet are affected first, not because they are weaker, but because they are farthest from the heart's supply. This vascular factor explains why symptoms often worsen in cold environments or at night. Reduced circulation amplifies nerve dysfunction. It also explains why past smoking increases risk. Smoking damages blood vessels in ways that compound metabolic injury. The nervous system retains these effects long after exposure ends. Inflammation runs through every stage. AGs activate immune cell receptors, triggering cascades that increase oxidative stress, damage nerve mitochondria, and impair insulin signaling. Inflammation becomes both a consequence and a driver of further injury. This feedback loop explains why neuropathy can accelerate after symptoms appear, even without lifestyle changes. Sleep is one of the few times the body prioritizes cellular repair. During deep sleep, inflammation decreases, insulin sensitivity improves, and growth factors support tissue maintenance. When neuropathy disrupts sleep, this repair window shrinks. Over time, poor restorative sleep worsens metabolic control and accelerates nerve damage. This two-way relationship shows why even modest improvements in sleep quality can have outsized effects on symptom stability. Late-night eating is especially harmful here. Food close to bedtime raises blood sugar during hours when insulin sensitivity is naturally lower. This prolongs hyperglycemia and interferes with nocturnal repair. Many people find that moving the last meal earlier improves sleep within days, followed by gradual neuropathy improvements. This change requires no new foods, supplements, or medications. It simply respects circadian rhythms. Digestive health also affects nerve function. The gut influences nutrient absorption, immune regulation, and inflammation. Poor digestion, altered motility, or chronic irritation can impair absorption of key nutrients like B vitamins and magnesium, while promoting systemic inflammation. Gut issues are rarely the sole cause of neuropathy, but they can increase vulnerability and slow recovery. Supporting digestive health improves the environment nerves depend on. The emotional impact of neuropathy deserves equal attention. Chronic discomfort, uncertainty, and fear of progression can lead to anxiety and depression. These states further disrupt sleep, raise stress hormones, and reduce self-care motivation. This creates a psychological feedback loop as real as any biochemical one. Breaking it requires understanding, support, and realistic expectations rather than blame or denial. It is important to recognize that not all neuropathy is metabolic. Autoimmune disorders, infections, toxins, chemotherapy, and genetic conditions can also damage nerves. However, even in these cases, metabolic health influences severity and progression, stabilizing blood sugar, reducing inflammation, and supporting circulation benefit nerve health regardless of the primary cause. This makes metabolic support a foundational strategy. As people implement changes to stabilize their metabolic environment, progress often appears subtly. Pain may lessen slightly, sleep may improve, balance may feel steadier, temperature sensation may partially return. These changes are easy to overlook if expecting dramatic reversal, but they are meaningful. They indicate ongoing damage has slowed and surviving nerve fibers function more efficiently. It is crucial to measure progress over weeks and months, not days. Nerves heal slowly. Metabolic adaptations take time. Fluctuations are normal. A difficult day does not erase gains. Focusing on overall trends provides a clearer picture and prevents discouragement. For those with advanced neuropathy, the focus shifts from recovery to preservation. Preventing further function loss can dramatically improve quality of life. Reduced pain, better sleep, and improved balance help people remain independent longer. These outcomes matter deeply, even without full sensation return. Medical collaboration remains essential. New or rapidly progressing symptoms require evaluation to exclude other causes. Medications for symptom control should never be stopped without supervision. The approaches discussed here complement, not replace, medical care. They address mechanisms often overlooked in standard treatment. As research progresses, the story around neuropathy is changing. What was once viewed as an inevitable part of aging is increasingly seen as a modifiable process influenced by lifestyle, metabolism, and systemic health. Not everyone will recover fully, but many have more influence over their path than previously believed. The most important shift is conceptual. Neuropathy is not something that simply happens to people. It develops within a specific environment. Change the environment, and you change the outcome. Not instantly or perfectly, but meaningfully. Long-term stabilization of peripheral neuropathy depends more on consistency in small, repeatable behaviors than on dramatic interventions. The nervous system responds to averages, not exceptions. One perfect week followed by months of neglect changes little. But modest improvements sustained over years can fundamentally alter the course of decline. This may feel unsatisfying in a culture expecting quick results, yet it aligns with how nerve tissue actually adapts. Aging physiology explains why neuropathy becomes more common over time. Insulin sensitivity naturally declines, mitochondrial efficiency decreases, and inflammatory signaling increases. These changes occur even in people who maintain stable weight and appear healthy.